It's my joy to be with you this morning, and thank you for choosing Ark Aid as your Lenten project. You know, I love the preaching today. Thank you. I resonate very much with Mary because I think we're all just a little strange, don't you? We all just bring our own uniqueness to the world and to life, and all we have to give is all that we are. And this week, I don't know if you follow the news. We had a rough week at Ark Aid Street Mission. Lots of politics around the issue of poverty and homelessness and what should we do? Do we as a society have a collective responsibility to do anything? I mean, isn't it their fault anyway? That's kind of one frame of thinking that's going on in our community right now. That if we can't solve it, we should just do nothing, abandon people. And that will not do. When I joined Ark Aid Street Mission in 2020, the high number of meals that had been served out of that location was 120 meals. That was kind of the top number. And in COVID times, we were being asked to step up as an organization because there just was not enough resources for the emerging need. At that time, the need in our city was told to us to be about 200 people living unsheltered, unhoused in our city. And today that number that is recorded, which means people who are willing to be put into a database and that we know about, is over 2,000. And you can actually track that number on the City of London website. Like that's a shared number between the organizations that work in this space. And so as the need has grown, it's not really a good news story when we go, well, we're serving this much more. It's great that we're serving. It's terrible that we have to serve, that the need has gotten so desperate. So this year, one of our efforts is actually to focus on the needs of women as an organization. And so I think the project that was brought to you is that we're establishing some women's only spaces because we know that for women, the experience of homelessness is a little bit different. I'd like to share with you a letter that was submitted by one of our community members to City Hall, to the politicians, as we were coming into this funding thing that happened this past week. So I'll just read the letter to you. It's Christmas Eve. You're alone in your apartment with no heat, no electricity. The only thing left to fill your stomach is a 99-cent pack of ramen noodles. You try to savor these last uncomfortable moments in a place that's been your home for the past 7 years, knowing in just 6 days it will no longer be yours. Fast forward to December 31st, you gather what little you can carry and step outside, leaving behind the only home you've known. As you stand there, you feel exposed, as if everything you once had has been ripped away. Society has abandoned you, and all you can feel is that you've been discarded or thrown away. The next 4 weeks are a blur of starvation, rejection, isolation. You have nothing but a worn winter coat, a tarp, and tattered sneakers to keep you dry and warm. You turn to drugs to escape this devastating new reality, and in desperate need to survive, you begin selling your body. Stealing food becomes your daily routine. Every moment is a dark existence that you can only wish would end. And then, one day it does. Sitting on the cold sidewalk, shivering and begging for change to buy a warm coffee, 2 people approach you. They start by asking your name and engage in casual, cheerful conversation. Listening to whatever you have to say, no matter how incoherent or jumbled your words may be. They offer you food, dry socks, and a drink. For the first time in what feels like forever, you feel seen. You feel heard. They tell you about a place where you can get a hot meal, a change of clothes, a shower, and warmth. They direct you to Ark Aid Street Mission, where you are welcomed with a smile and given the chance to clean yourself up. The staff and volunteers not only offer you physical comfort, but take the time to truly understand your struggles. They show you care, something you had forgotten existed in this world. For the first time since December 31st, you feel like a person again. In our society, there are often negative connotations surrounding the word homeless, with assumptions that those experiencing homelessness are defined by addiction, poor choices, or undesirable character traits. This deeply ingrained stigma causes us to treat these individuals as less than human, undeserving of basic human needs like food, shelter, and dignity, the very thing that so many of us take for granted every day. But there is no simple solution to the crisis, our cities and communities face. There is no one-size-fits-all answer. The Ark Aid Street Mission and other shelters like it are among the closest things we have to a solution. These places provide essential services, food, warmth, shelter, and the chance for a fresh start. More importantly, they offer something even more precious, a sense of belonging and humanity. Without these services, without a place to find refuge, many would be left to endure the same suffering, feeling forgotten and discarded. These shelters represent more than just a safety net. They're a lifeline, giving individuals the support they need to begin rebuilding their lives. Maslow's hierarchy of needs starts with physiology requirements. And without the most basic needs met, food, shelter, warmth, it's almost impossible for someone to begin the journey towards self-actualization, recovery, or any hope for the future. If we take away these resources, we neglect the opportunity to lift people out of despair and offer them a path toward healing. We would be giving up on our fellow man. We must also remember how fragile our own stability is. We often forget that we are only one personal tragedy, one financial disaster, or one devastating loss away from being in the very same position. So if you were to lose everything, what would you vote for? What kind of society would you want to see? One that leaves the most vulnerable behind, or one that offers a hand up and a chance to start over? This was written by a woman who has been through the journey. She wanted to advocate. This woman, much like Mary, brings her gifts to the Ark every day as a chef. Since she's gone through her path of recovery, she's in school. I can see it in this writing. I was so impressed with this written letter from her. And she is working on our team. She has full-time work with us. This woman brings what she has to make a difference in this world. And then she uses her voice to advocate for more. Women's experience in homelessness is different, and she describes it well. The relationship breakdown, the economic instability, the path into addiction, and the pain of what it is to have to survive on the streets. And then the path out, that very need to be seen as a person. And so our women's-only spaces are intended to be places of mutual support, mutual aid. We have one location already established on Oxford Street West, which is a women's-only transitional house. This is for women who have already stabilized. They've gone through the process of connecting to their health services and establishing income and their ID. They're on wait lists for RGI income or housing, that type of thing. But it's the next step towards independence out of our Cronin Warner location. That location has 70 people, men and women, living in it and stabilizing in that space. That's where we do a lot of the casework, where we're actually connecting people to their care. So that's one project that's women's only. And the other is establishing 13 supportive housing units in the same building. So if you know where Bishop Cronin Church was on the corner of William and Queens, it's in that very building. There's an apartment building there, and we're establishing 13 units in the basement of that building for women only. And this will be for women who are going through the Heart Hub. You might have heard that announcement. And that's in partnership with CMHA and a number of other organizations where women can come into care from the streets, seek addiction recovery supports, and then once they've kind of had that support, that recovery established, they would get more permanent housing in the supportive housing that we're establishing. So we're excited to be part of these initiatives. It's really important that we keep moving the needle on different kinds of interventions to help people out of homelessness. And I really want to express again my gratitude that you've chosen to partner with the Ark, and I know many others. I know we're not the only beneficiaries of your kindness. And the truth is that there is no one organization or one philosophy that's going to solve this problem. But together, when we be community, we actually can make a difference. And it's personal and professional. I just want to remind people, you might be 1 or 2 degrees away from someone who's precariously housed, who's not supported well. And it could be your kindness, your awareness of them. You know, I think about my first ED job was with Meals on Wheels, okay? So I have a real softness for seniors. seniors are the fastest growing demographic that are falling into homelessness right now. This is something we need to pay attention to. That, and we're into a federal election, I won't go too political, but the reality is if people's base incomes don't keep pace with inflation, I'm now talking about CPP and old age security, if those things don't keep pace, our seniors find themselves unable to maintain housing. It's really very serious that we think in that broader lens view about what creates a stable community, that what's good for me is what's good for my neighbor. And it's a wonderful thing for us to think that way as we go to the polls. It's a wonderful thing for us to think of that when we're cleaning out our closet and thinking, is this going to the landfill or going to someone in need? It's good for us to think of that when we're tossing our stuff in the green bin and wondering, what food can I share and with whom? Maybe I invite my neighbor over for a meal. These are very practical ways that we together live out the vision of Ark Aid Street Mission. I like to tell people are doing this all the time all across our city. Our vision statement says that in God's great love, that we would be a community in which people are beheld, they're seen, beloved, they are loved, and they belong. And you're doing that in your ways here in this congregation. And when we do this collectively, we make a huge difference in our communities. Thank you so much for all you're doing, and thank you for inviting me today.